your everyday habits can transform your long-term health.
And that began a journey into what many people refer to as tension type or stress-related headaches. And there's nothing normal about a headache. I define a stress as anything that promotes chronic inflammation. Consistently good night's sleep is without a doubt your greatest tool. And putting your head on the pillow is not enough. They're the ones that believe they're getting enough sleep.
Every day, more people than ever are waking up tired. And not just because they work late. Poor sleep is now being linked to inflammation in the body, including the mouth. A recent multi-omic animal study found that chronic sleep deprivation dramatically shifts the oral microbiome and raises the inflammatory markers such as IL-6 and IL-1B, suggesting a direct link between poor sleep and oral imbalance. On top of that, large-scale human data shows that short sleep duration and insomnia are strongly associated with common oral conditions like mouth ulcers, supporting the idea that when we sleep poorly, inflammation in the mouth could flare up. Biomed Central, in another study of 30,000 people, those reporting sleep disorders also had significantly higher rates of gingival inflammation and worse oral health. Today on Khan Klinics, we're exploring this deep, fascinating intersection. Not just the stress in your mind, but the stress in your mouth. And there's no better guide for this journey than Dr. Ron Ehrlich. Welcome to another thought-provoking episode of Khan Clinic. I'm your host, Dr. Amir Khan, and today I'm very honored to be joined by one of the most insightful voices. For over 40 years, Dr. Ron, a dentist and a fellow of the Australasian College of Nutritional and Environmental Medicine, has been redefining what true health really means. He spent his career connecting the dots between sleep, breathing, nutrition, stress, and the environment, showing millions that wellness begins long before symptoms appear. He's the best-selling author of A Life Less Stressed, host of the Unstressed podcast, and one of Australia's most respected voices in preventive health. Today, we get to dive into the mind of a leader who believes your everyday habits can transform your long-term health, and who has dedicated his life to proving exactly that. Dr. Ehrlich, it's an honor to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much, Amir, and that's a wonderful introduction, and I'm looking forward to our conversation.
So let's start by asking what inspired you to explore health beyond traditional dentistry. Give us a little oversight.
Well, very early on in my career, and I've been in dentistry for over 40 years, very early on, within the first 12 months, I found myself rather unexpectedly treating a person with headache, tension headache. I just simply adjusted the crown of a tooth that the patient had been complaining about. And a week later, they came in and said the crown was comfortable, but surprisingly, their headache of the last 5 years had disappeared. And that piqued my interest. Yes, I was similarly surprised. And that began a journey into what many people refer to as tension type or stress-related headaches. And I became frustrated with the fact that often people who have these conditions are told, oh, you've just got a normal tension-related headache. It's just stress-related. And there's nothing normal about a headache. And so I decided to explore what stress was, and in a more constructive way. And that led me to the model of stress and health that I've been using for the last 40 years. And found to be not only a really good way of approaching chronic musculoskeletal pain, which was my initial interest, but a way of approaching almost every preventable degenerative disease and exploring health as well. So this model of 5 stressors and 5 pillars has been my professional journey ever since. And I'm sure you would agree that the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know, and that's exciting. And it just leads to a lifetime of exploration and discovery, and as you say, connecting the dots.
Thank you for explaining that, Ron. Explain to our audience, why do you think there is an association with those? How would you say those 5 pillars will help an average person who comes to you?
Well, I think it comes back to a question of balance. And I think it's important, if you are dealing with a problem like stress, to understand what it is. And I'm going to get to the pillars, but I define a stress as anything that promotes chronic inflammation, which is the common denominator in all diseases, physical and mental. So a stress is anything that promotes chronic inflammation and reduces immune function. So I see life as a balancing beam. On the one hand, identify and minimize as many stressors in your life as possible. And to that effect, I identify emotional, environmental, nutritional, postural. Now, most people nod their head up until the next point, which is dental stress. And we'll come to that. On the other side of the balancing beam is to build resilience, and that is the 5 pillars of health.
Fantastic. And thank you for explaining that, Ron. Ron, tell me, we would like to know, you have a deep interest in sleep, and you've discussed a number of times about sleep being the foundation of health. We know millions struggle from tiredness. We know we've become a species who has chronically let ourselves deprive of sleep and undervalued, underestimated, and put something right at the bottom of this paradigm that you've discussed. Give us in a nutshell and explain to our audience, why is this important?
Well, a consistently good night's sleep is without a doubt your greatest tool. It is, in my opinion, a non-negotiable tool that everyone has access to. It doesn't get much cheaper than a good night's sleep. And a consistently good night's sleep is a function of both quantity, and for over 90% of the population, that would mean 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. And putting your head on the pillow is not enough. It's a function of quality as well. And when we come to that, means how well you breathe. So looking at the quantity, people who sleep 4 to 5 hours a night know they are not getting enough sleep. And they perform really badly on almost every test done physically and mentally and emotionally. It's the group that sleeps 6 hours a night that are the most interesting, because they're the ones that believe they're getting enough sleep, but actually function just as poorly as those that are sleeping 4 to 5 hours. So 7 to 9 hours is what 90% of the population require. Now, quality means breathing well while you are asleep, and you are meant to wake up feeling refreshed. That is what sleep is about. And what we mean by breathing well while you're asleep is to breathe through your nose, breathe slowly, oxygenate the system sufficiently, and go into the deeper levels of sleep. There are 5 levels of sleep. The initial 1 or 2, stage 1, are very light sleep. Stage 3 and 4 are the deeper levels of sleep, where really important physiological functions occur, both immune and psychological and brain function. And then the stage 5, which is the REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, is where we breathe, where we dream, and we kind of sort out the day's events, filing them away or disposing of them into our hard drive. So this function, this consistently good night's sleep, is our non-negotiable life support system, which is so accessible, and yet so many people, as you've alluded to, so many people dismiss.
What a remarkable journey we've just experienced together. The path to health isn't always straight, but it's always worth the effort. I hope today's conversation inspired you to take the next step in your wellness journey, armed with new knowledge and a fresh perspective. If today's episode left you inspired, share it with people, someone who need to hear this. Give us a thumbs up and your opinion. Keep exploring, keep evolving, and we'll see you in the next episode of Khan Clinics.